The auction hall smelled of fear and dirty metal. Una stood on the wooden platform with chains around her wrists. Her silver skin was covered in dust, and her violet eyes looked at the floor. She had learned long ago not to look at the buyers. Looking at them only made things worse. Thought the Velrani were known across the galaxy as beautiful creatures. Their silver skin glowed softly in dim light. Their large eyes could see emotions that other species tried to hide. This beauty was their curse. Slavers hunted them like rare animals. Una had been caught 2 years ago during a raid on her village. She had been sold twice already. Both times, her masters had been cruel. She heard the crowd making noise. Different aliens from many worlds had come to buy slaves. Some were fat merchants looking for servants. Others were soldiers wanting workers for dangerous mines. And some had darker reasons that Una did not want to think about. The auctioneer was a thin creature with 4 arms and yellow teeth. He grabbed Una's chin and forced her face up so the crowd could see her. Beautiful Velrani female. He shouted, "Young and healthy. Perfect for any purpose you desire." Una felt sick. She knew what any purpose meant. She had heard the stories from other slaves. She had lived some of those stories herself. The bidding started. A fat merchant offered 2,000 credits. A reptilian Kreth slaver offered 3,000. Una's heart sank when she saw the Kreth. They were known as the cruelest masters in the galaxy. Slaves who went to Kreth owners rarely lived long, and their short lives were filled with pain. The Kreth slaver grinned at her with sharp teeth. He knew he was going to win. Few species wanted to compete with Kreth for anything. Then a voice came from the back of the crowd. 4,000. Everyone turned to look. Una looked too, even though she knew she should not. A human stood there. Una felt her blood turn cold. Humans were rare in this part of space. She had never seen one in person before, but she had heard many stories. Humans came from a death world, a planet that tried to kill everything on it. They had survived by becoming the most dangerous predators their world had ever known. They were unpredictable and violent. Some aliens whispered that humans ate other species. This human was tall with wide shoulders and dark hair. His skin was a warm brown color, different from her silver. His eyes were dark too, and Una could not read the emotion in them. This frightened her. She could always read emotions. It was a gift of her species. But humans were strange. Their feelings did not show the same way. The Kreth slaver turned to look at the human. For a moment, Una thought he would fight. Kreth were proud and did not like to lose. But something in the human's eyes made the slaver step back. He growled but did not bid again. Sold! The auctioneer announced quickly. He also seemed nervous around the human. To the human for 4,000 credits. Una was led down from the platform. Her legs were shaking. She had escaped the Kreth, only to be bought by something possibly worse. At least with the Kreth, she knew what to expect. Humans were a mystery, a dangerous mystery. The human paid the credits and received the chain that was attached to her collar. Una kept her head down. She waited for the first hit. The first cruel word. The first sign of what her new life would be like. The human looked at her for a long moment. Then he did something unexpected. He knelt down. Una flinched away, sure he was going to hurt her in some new way. But the human only reached for the chains on her wrists. She heard a click. Then another. The chains fell to the dirty floor. She stared at him, too shocked to move. The human stood up and reached for the collar around her neck. Una closed her eyes, expecting pain. Instead, she felt the collar loosen and fall away. Cool air touched her neck for the first time in months. There, the human said. His voice was deep but soft. That's better. Una did not understand. This was not how it was supposed to happen. Masters did not remove chains. They added more. "I'm Taiho," the human said. "What's your name?" No one had asked her name in 2 years. She was slave or creature or worse things. She had almost forgotten she had a name. "Yuna," she whispered. Taiho nodded. "You look hungry, Yuna. Let's get you something to eat." He turned and started walking toward the exit of the auction hall. He did not grab her arm. He did not pull her chain. He just walked, expecting her to follow. Yuna followed because she did not know what else to do. As they walked through the station corridors, she noticed something strange. Other aliens moved out of their way. A group of tough-looking traders pressed themselves against the wall as Taiho passed. A soldier twice the human size quickly turned down a different hallway. Everyone was afraid of him. Yuna looked at the human walking calmly beside her. He did not seem threatening. He had removed her chains. He had asked her name. He wanted to feed her, but the fear in the eyes of everyone around them told a different story. This human was dangerous. Very dangerous. And now she belonged to him. What kind of monster had bought her? Yuna did not know, but she would find out soon enough. Taiho's ship was called the Wanderer. It was not a pretty ship. The metal was scratched and old. Some parts looked like they had been repaired many times. But inside, it was warm and clean and smelled like food cooking. Yuna expected to be locked in a cell. Her previous masters had kept her in dark storage rooms where she slept on cold floors. Sometimes they forgot to feed her for days. Instead, Taiho led her to a small room with a real bed. There was a soft blanket on the bed. A small window showed the stars outside. The room was simple but comfortable. "This is yours," Taiho said. "The door locks from the inside. You can lock it whenever you want. I will never come in without asking first." Yuna stared at him. She did not understand these words. Masters did not give slaves private rooms. They did not let slaves lock doors. "I don't understand," she said quietly. Taiho's eyes became sad for a moment. "I know, but you will, eventually. Get some rest. There's food in the kitchen when you're hungry." He left and closed the door behind him. Yuna stood in the middle of the room for a long time. Then, slowly, she walked to the door. Her hands were shaking as she found the lock. She pressed it. A soft click told her the door was now locked. She waited. Nothing happened. No angry shouting. No one trying to break down the door. No punishment for daring to lock herself away from her master. Yuna sat on the bed. It was soft. Softer than anything she had felt in 2 years. She wanted to cry, but she was too tired. Instead, she curled up in a ball and stared at the door all night, waiting for Taiho to come. He never did. The next day, Yuna finally left her room. Hunger had become stronger than fear. She found Taiho in the kitchen, cooking something in a pan. He looked up when she entered and smiled. "Good morning. Are you hungry?" "I'm making eggs." "Well, they're not really eggs. They're from some bird on a planet I can't pronounce. But they taste like eggs." Yuna nodded carefully. She sat at the small table and watched him cook. He moved around the kitchen like he had done this 1,000 times. He hummed a strange song while he worked. The melody was nice, even if she did not recognize it. He put a plate in front of her. The food smelled wonderful. "Do you want to eat with me?" she asked. It was a test. Her previous masters had always eaten first. Slaves ate whatever was left. Taiho sat across from her with his own plate. "Of course. I don't like eating alone." They ate together. The food was good. Better than good. It was the best thing Yuna had tasted in years. She tried not to eat too fast, but she was so hungry. "There's more if you want," Taiho said gently. "Eat as much as you need." Days passed. Then weeks. Yuna kept waiting for the trick, for the cruelty to begin. It never did. She watched Taiho carefully. He worked hard, flying the ship between stations, delivering cargo, fixing things that broke. He talked to the ship's computer like it was a friend. He had a small garden in the cargo bay where he grew plants from Earth. He called them herbs and said they reminded him of home. Sometimes Yuna helped him with small tasks. He always thanked her. He never ordered her. He asked, "Would you like to help me fix this?" He would say, or, "Could you hand me that tool, please?" Please. He said please to a slave. One night, the ship's heating system broke. Taiho worked for hours trying to fix it. The ship became very cold. When he finally gave up for the night, he found Yuna shivering in her room. Without a word, he took off his own jacket and put it around her shoulders. Then he brought his blanket from his room and gave it to her too. "What about you?" she asked. "I've slept in worse conditions," he said. "Death world, remember? Humans are tough." He smiled like it was a joke. But Yuna could see he was cold too. He just didn't care about his own comfort as much as hers. That night, she finally asked the question that had been burning inside her. "Why did you buy me?" Taiho was quiet for a long time. He stared out the window at the stars. "I didn't plan to," he admitted. "I came to that station to buy engine parts. But when I saw you standing there, so scared, and I saw how those other buyers were looking at you." He shook his head. "I couldn't walk away. I know what places like that do to people, but why do you care? I am nothing to you." Taiho looked at her with an expression she could not read. "You're not nothing. You're a person. And where I come from, we don't believe anyone can own another person. The papers say you belong to me, but you don't. Not really. You belong to yourself." He told her his plan. When they reached his safe port, he would help her find a new life. She could go home or anywhere else she wanted. He would give her money to start over. "You're setting me free?" Yuna asked. "You were always free," Taiho said. The chains were just making it hard to see. Yuna did not know what to say. She had forgotten what hope felt like. Now it was blooming in her chest like a small flower. But 3 days later, that hope turned to fear again. During a supply stop, Yuna looked out the window and saw a familiar face. The Kreth slaver from the auction was watching their ship. And he was not alone. He had not forgotten. He had not forgiven, and he was coming for them. 2 weeks passed after Yuna saw the Kreth. She told Taiho about them, and he changed their route. They traveled through empty space, avoiding busy stations. Yuna started to believe they were safe. She was wrong. They stopped at an old refueling station to fill their tanks. The station was abandoned, just metal and dust floating in the darkness. Taiho said it was safer than busy ports. No one would find them here. He was wrong, too. 3 ships appeared from behind a nearby asteroid. They were Kreth ships, fast and armed with weapons. The Wanderer had no weapons at all. It was just a cargo ship. "Hide," Taiho told Yuna. His voice was calm, but his eyes were hard. "There's a secret compartment behind the engine room. Go there now and don't come out until I say it's safe." "What about you?" Yuna asked. Her heart was beating so fast she could hear it. "I'll handle this. Go." Yuna ran. She found the compartment, a small space hidden behind a fake wall. She squeezed inside and pulled the panel closed. Through a small vent, she could see part of the main corridor. She heard the Kreth ships connect to the Wanderer. Metal screamed against metal as they forced their way in. Then she heard heavy footsteps. Many of them, 5 Kreth warriors, entered the ship. They were huge, almost 3 meters tall, with green scales and yellow eyes. Their teeth were sharp like knives. Each one carried a weapon. The leader was the slaver from the auction. He smiled as he looked around the ship. "Human," He called out. We know you're here. Come out, and maybe we'll kill you quickly. Make us search, and we'll make it slow. Taiho stepped out from a side room. He had no weapon. He was just standing there with his hands at his sides. You came all this way for a cargo ship? Taiho asked. His voice was strange, flat and cold. That seems like a lot of trouble. The Kreth leader laughed. We came for what you stole from us. The Velrani female. She should have been mine. You made me look weak in front of everyone. Now I'm going to take her. I am going to make you watch while I break her. Something changed in Taiho's eyes. Yuna had seen many emotions in her life. Fear, anger, cruelty, hate. But she had never seen anything like what appeared in the human's eyes at that moment. It was like all the warmth left his body. His eyes became empty, dead. He looked like a machine wearing human skin. No, Taiho said simply. You won't. The Kreth leader gestured to his warriors. Kill him. The first warrior rushed forward with a metal club. He was fast, much faster than Yuna expected. But Taiho was faster. The human moved like water. He stepped to the side and caught the warrior's arm. There was a horrible cracking sound. The Kreth screamed as his arm bent the wrong way. Taiho took the club from his broken hand and smashed it across the warrior's head. The Kreth dropped and did not move. Everything happened in less than 3 seconds. The other warriors attacked together. 2 came from the front, 1 from behind. They were trained fighters. They had killed many enemies before. It did not matter. Taiho became something terrifying. He ducked under one attack and kicked out the Kreth's knee. The warrior fell, and Taiho broke his neck with a quick twist. He used the falling body as a shield against another attack, then threw the corpse at the third warrior. A Kreth blade cut his arm. Blood poured down his skin. Taiho did not even seem to notice. He grabbed the Kreth's wrist, pulled him close, and drove his elbow into the warrior's throat. The Kreth fell, choking. The last warrior tried to run. Taiho picked up a fallen knife and threw it. The blade buried itself in the warrior's leg. He crashed to the floor, screaming. All of this happened in less than a minute. Only the leader remained. His yellow eyes were wide with fear. He had never seen anything like this. He had heard stories about humans, about Deathworlders, who were born fighting for survival. He thought they were exaggerations. They were not. What are you? The leader whispered. Taiho walked toward him slowly. Blood dripped from his wounds. His breathing was heavy, but his eyes were still empty. I'm just a human, Taiho said. We're nothing special. We're just really, really good at one thing. What thing? Taiho grabbed the leader by the throat and lifted him off the ground. The Kreth was twice his weight, but the human held him like he weighed nothing, protecting what we care about. He slammed the leader into the wall. The Kreth slumped to the ground, unconscious. For a moment, Taiho just stood there, surrounded by fallen enemies. Then the deadness left his eyes. He looked around like he was waking up from a dream. Yuna, he called out. His voice was soft again, gentle. You can come out now. They won't hurt you. Yuna pushed open the panel with shaking hands. She stepped over the bodies of the Kreth warriors. She could not stop staring at Taiho. This was the same man who cooked her breakfast, who gave her his blanket, who said please when he asked for help. He was covered in blood. Some of it was his own. You're hurt, she whispered. Taiho looked down at his wounds like he was seeing them for the first time. I've had worse. Yuna took his hand and led him to sit down. She found the medical supplies and started cleaning his cuts. Her hands were still trembling. Why? She asked while she worked. Why did you fight so hard? You could have died. Taiho was quiet for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was very tired. Because everyone deserves someone who will fight for them. For a long time, no one fought for me. So I decided I would fight for others. Yuna looked up at him. She finally understood something important. She was not afraid of this human. She was not afraid of the monster who had destroyed 5 warriors without a weapon. She was afraid of losing him. Haven 7 was everything Taiho had promised. The station was bright and clean. People walked freely through the corridors without chains or collars. Signs on the walls declared that slavery was forbidden. Anyone caught trading people would be executed. This was a safe place. A free place. Yuna should have been happy. She was about to get everything she had dreamed of for 2 years. Freedom. A new life. A chance to start again. Instead, she felt like she was dying inside. Taiho had arranged everything perfectly. He found her a small apartment in a quiet section of the station. He gave her credits to live on for several months. He connected her with people who could help her find work. There's also a transport leaving next week for Villarani space, he told her. If you want to go home, I can get you a ticket. Home. The word felt strange in her mouth. Did she even have a home anymore? The village she grew up in was destroyed. Her family. She did not want to think about her family. Thank you, Yuna said. The words felt empty. Taiho handed her a small device. This has my communication code. If you ever need anything at all, you can contact me. I might be far away sometimes, but I'll always answer. Yuna took the device. Her fingers touched his for just a moment. She did not want to let go. When are you leaving? She asked. Tomorrow morning. I have cargo to deliver on the other side of the sector. He smiled, but it did not reach his eyes. The universe doesn't stop moving just because I want it to. They stood there in awkward silence. There was so much Yuna wanted to say, but the words were stuck in her throat like stones. Thank you, she said again. For everything. For saving my life. For treating me like a person. You don't need to thank me for that. You deserved kindness. Everyone does. He turned to leave. Each step he took felt like a knife in Yuna's chest. Goodbye, Yuna. Have a good life. You deserve that too. And then he was gone. Yuna spent 2 days in her new apartment. She could not eat. She could not sleep. She just sat by the window, watching ships come and go. Every time she saw a cargo vessel, her heart jumped. Then she saw it wasn't the Wanderer, and her heart sank again. The bed was comfortable. Much better than the one on the ship. But it felt wrong. Too big. Too empty. She missed the hum of engines. She missed the smell of Taiho's cooking. She missed his voice, his laugh, the way he hummed old songs from Earth. She missed him. On the second night, Yuna finally let herself think about her family. She had avoided these thoughts for 2 years. It hurt too much. Her mother had died when Yuna was young. Her father raised her alone in their small village. He was a good man, but he was weak. When the slavers came, he made a deal with them. He gave them his daughter in exchange for his own safety. Her own father had sold her. There was no home to go back to. There was no one waiting for her, but there was someone who had fought for her. Someone who had almost died for her. Someone who looked at her like she mattered. Yuna stood up. She knew what she had to do. The morning sun was coming through the station. Windows when Yuna arrived at Taiho's docking bay. The Wanderer was still there. Engines warming up. Taiho was loading the last few boxes of cargo. He stopped when he saw her. His face showed surprise, then confusion, then something else. Something that looked like hope. Yuna? What are you doing here? Is something wrong? She walked up to him. Her heart was beating fast, but not from fear. From something else. Something new. I don't want to go home, she said. My home doesn't exist anymore. My family doesn't want me. They never did. Taiho's expression changed. Anger flashed in his eyes, but not at her. He was angry for her. "I'm sorry," he said softly. "You deserve better than that. I found better." Yuna took a deep breath. "I found you." Taiho didn't say anything. He just looked at her with those dark eyes that she had learned to read over the past weeks. "I don't want to stay here," Yuna continued. "I don't want to be alone in a nice apartment wondering where you are. I want to be where you are. I want to help you. I want to be your crew, your partner, your friend. Whatever you'll let me be. Not because I have to, because I choose to." For a long moment, Taiho was silent. Yuna felt fear creeping back into her heart. What if he said no? What if he didn't want her? Then Taiho smiled. It was the same warm smile she remembered from their first meal together. But there was something more in it now. Something deeper. "I could use a co-pilot," he said. "The pay is terrible. The hours are long. The captain talks to his plants too much." Yuna laughed. It surprised her. She hadn't laughed in years. "I think I can handle that." Taiho offered his hand. Not to pull her or force her. Just an invitation. Yuna took it. Together, they walked onto the Wanderer. Yuna sat in the co-pilot seat for the first time. The controls looked complicated, but she would learn. She had time. "Ready?" Taiho asked. Yuna looked at him, then at the stars waiting outside. "Ready." The ship lifted off. The station grew smaller behind them, and Yuna realized that for the first time in her life, she was exactly where she wanted to be. 1 year later, Yuna barely recognized herself. She sat in the captain's chair of her own ship, the Silver Hope. It was smaller than the Wanderer, but fast and well-armed. Through her window, she could see 4 other ships flying in formation. Their little fleet, their family dot so much had changed. After Yuna joined Taiho as his co-pilot, she learned everything she could. She learned to fly, to navigate the stars, to negotiate with difficult merchants. Taiho also taught her to fight, not because he wanted her to be violent, but because he never wanted her to be helpless again. "The universe is dangerous," he had told her, "but you don't have to be afraid of it anymore." And she wasn't. Not anymore. Word spread about the human and the Volrani, who traveled together as equals. Some aliens laughed at them. A slave species and a death worlder? Working as partners? It was ridiculous. It was unnatural, but others watched with different eyes. The lost ones. The broken ones. The people who had given up hope. They started coming to Taiho and Yuna, a young male from a worker species who had escaped from a mining colony. A female pilot whose planet had been conquered. Former slaves who had nowhere else to go. They came looking for safety, for kindness, for something to believe in. Taiho never turned anyone away. "Everyone deserves a chance," he said every time. "Everyone deserves someone who believes in them." 1 ship became 2. 2 became 5. They hired more crew, bought more vessels, took on bigger contracts. They delivered cargo all across the sector, but they had rules. No slaves, no weapons meant for killing civilians. No jobs that hurt innocent people. Other humans joined them. Misfits and dreamers who believed what Taiho believed. Aliens joined too, species that had never trusted humans before. They saw something different in this little fleet. They saw hope. Yuna became the captain of the Silver Hope after 6 months. Taiho promoted her himself, saying she had earned it. She cried when he gave her the ship's keys. She tried to hide it, but he saw. "I'm proud of you," he said simply. Those 4 words meant more than anything else in the universe thought now. 1 year after that day in the auction hall, their fleet was escorting a transport ship full of rescued slaves. They had freed them from a Kreth facility 2 days ago. It was a dangerous mission. People got hurt, but no one died, and 200 slaves were now heading to Haven 7 to start new lives, just like Yuna had. Taiho's voice came through the communication system. He was on the Wanderer, leading the formation. All ships, report status. Yuna pressed her communicator. Silver Hope, all clear. Passengers are stable. The other captains reported in. Everything was going smoothly. The Kreth had chased them for a while, but they gave up when they realized the fleet was too strong. Cowards, Yuna thought. They only attacked when they had the advantage. Good work, everyone, Taiho said. Once we deliver our passengers, dinner is on me. And I mean real food, not ration packs. Laughter came through the communications from all 5 ships. This was their family now. Broken people who had found each other in the darkness of space died later, after the rescued slaves were safely delivered and the ships were docked together for the night. Yuna found Taiho in his garden. He was tending his herbs, just like he always did. Some things never changed. She stood beside him for a while without speaking. It was comfortable, this silence. They had learned to communicate without words over the past year. Finally, Yuna spoke. I dreaded you, she said softly. That first day, when you bought me, I thought you would be the worst master I ever had. Humans were monsters in the stories I heard. I thought you would hurt me in ways I couldn't even imagine. Taiho stopped working with his plants. He looked at her with those dark eyes that she could now read perfectly. I know, he said. I could see it in your face. You were so scared. I was terrified. Yuna moved closer to him. I spent the whole first night waiting for you to break down my door. I waited for the cruelty to start, but it never did. You just kept being kind. Day after day. Even when I didn't trust you. Even when I pushed you away. You had every reason not to trust me. After what you've been through. I'm amazed you trusted anyone ever again. Yuna reached out and took his hand. It was something she had started doing a few months ago. At first, she only held his hand for a moment. Now, she didn't want to let go. You taught me that trust was possible, she said. You taught me that kindness existed. You gave me my life back. Not just my freedom. My actual life. Taiho squeezed her hand gently. You gave yourself your life back. I just gave you a chance. You did all the hard work. We did it together. They stood there in the garden, holding hands, surrounded by the smell of earth herbs. Outside the window, their fleet floated peacefully in the darkness. Their family of broken people who had become whole again. What do you feel now? Taiho asked. When you look at me? Yuna thought about the question. She remembered the fear, the dread, the certainty that this human would destroy her. She remembered learning that she was wrong. She remembered the slow growth of trust, then friendship, and something deeper. I feel like the stars would be empty without you, she said. I feel like wherever you are is where I want to be. I feel like you're the first person who ever really saw me. Taiho smiled. It was the smile she had fallen in love with, though she had never said those words out loud. I see you, he said. I always have. Yuna leaned her head against his shoulder. They watched their ships floating together in the endless darkness. Tomorrow, there would be more work. More people to save. More galaxy to explore. But tonight, they were just Yuna and Taiho, a former slave and a human who refused to let her stay broken. Two people who had found each other against all odds. I used to think humans were monsters, Yuna said quietly. Some of us are, Taiho admitted. Humans can be the worst things in the universe. But we can also be the best. We get to choose. Yuna lifted her head and looked at him. You chose to be kind. Why? Taiho thought for a moment. Because someone was kind to me once when I needed it most. And I decided I would spend my life passing that kindness forward. One person at a time. One choice at a time. Yuna smiled. She understood now. This was what made humans special. Not their strength, or their violence, or their survival instinct. It was their ability to choose. To be better. to build something good in a universe full of darkness. She had dreaded him at first. But the human had treated her differently. And because of that, everything had changed.